Welcome to Fans of the Forge. We are back in the studio. This is our first time recording since Sean and I got back from Pigeon Forge grudge match down at Iron Metal Mountain Craft in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Iron Mountain Metal Craft.
What did I say? Iron Metal Mountain Craft?
Yeah.
I'm already nervous about what's going on here. So, ladies and gentlemen, joining us this evening, we have Spicy Mike Kerley from Season 5, Episode 26, the Qinglong Ji. Spicy Mike, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there. How you guys?
Tired.
Yeah.
But I think we're all pretty good. And
we're fired up.
We are fired up.
Hey, bring the cheesy puns, man.
That's why we have Sean.
Yeah.
Yes, Sean nails the cheesy puns. So first things first, I believe we have a little bit of a spice off to start this thing going.
Let's kick it up a notch.
We're going to kick it up a notch. You know, when we first talked about your episode, I made some comments about the sriracha and the hot sauce on the banana. And then you took me to task in those comments saying, you know, that was actually Carolina Reaper sauce and maybe we should do a spice off. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I got my ghost pepper hot sauce right here. And what are you going to be starting off with here?
Let me dig into my bowl of goodness here. How about a pretty purple?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, they're actually red right now, but they're purple as they're growing, and then they ripen to a red. I just threw it in the floor.
5-second rule.
Exactly.
All right. Cheers.
Eating.
Didn't it, right?
Sure.
I don't need to see it.
Give me a kiss.
No.
Kiss me. All right. Yep, that was pretty good. That's a good spice going right there. All right, we're going to get right into the episode. So, Mike, we'll start off. Your Instagram is 7th Dragon Knife Works.
Yep.
And so that's how we've been talking back and forth. So when you were on Qinglong Ji, you came up and you had 2 years of part-time experience at the time.
Yeah, about that.
So where are you now? About 3 years since it aired or since you recorded that?
Well, I gave them a couple different timelines they could start from, and that's the one they decided to go with. I made my first blade in 2009. I had made my first forged blade in like 2011 or 2012, but I never really decided, okay, I want to be a knife maker. Like, I want that to be my thing until about 2.5 years before they filmed. So I'm somewhere between 2.5 and 3 years, after I finally decided, okay, I want to learn the metallurgy. I want to learn how to actually do this and like really be a knife maker.
Okay, so you had some more experience than they let on. Is it good to know?
I mean, yeah, but I was making stuff out of like 4140 because there's a lot of farmers around here, and even though 4140 really doesn't hold an edge, you can't break the stuff. And farmers like to, stab and pry and do all that kind of stuff with their knives instead of it keeping a great edge. So it was like the perfect thing for them. But then once I started learning about metallurgy, I was like, okay, that was all garbage that I was doing. So I kind of do and kind of don't have the experience.
Okay. So, Sean, you want to talk about this comment you made at the beginning of the episode? You had a question?
Yeah, I noted that you had a pretty good cutout, like a mouth hole, so you could like efficiently get food in your mouth, it seemed. Do you trim that, or is it just natural?
All right, well, so here, I'm going to get up close to the camera so they can see. Like this part right here,
Yeah.
if I don't keep that pretty short, like I chew on it, like I'll like sit there and bite it.
Right.
Yeah.
I keep that trimmed off pretty good there. So otherwise that'll just be super sore and red all the time. So I keep it pretty short.
I know the feeling.
Right.
I've been there before.
Okay.
I'm far away from the longest this has been, believe me, but I know the feeling. So let's move on into the episode. You want to talk about round one a little?
Sure. So you guys were using an oak barrel. Will Willis whips the cloth off, and it's just dust. It's magic. Could you explain that to us?
I think it was one of you guys that made the comment that you thought it was edited.
Yeah.
They whether they put some special effect in it or not, I don't really know for sure. But I do know there was like some sandy, dusty stuff on top of the barrel. So I could see that kind of fly up when he whipped it off, and I could kind of see the dusty stuff on top of the barrel after he threw the springy thing. Because I actually had to do 2 or 3 takes of him like whipping that off. So I got a pretty good idea of like there was actually some stuff on top of there.
But what was like holding the cloth to give it a shape?
But like, did he grab that when he pulled and we just didn't notice?
Yeah, so there was like what it sounded like when it hit the ground, and like by the shape that it was sitting in on top of the barrel, I'm assuming it was some kind of wireframe tripod.
Okay.
Oh.
When he threw it, he threw the whole thing, and you could hear some wire or something that bounced across the floor.
Okay.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So from there, you had to make a knife using the oak barrel, and you had the option to use other metal from the shop mixed with the steel from the barrel. Rob and Jason did sanmai, and you decided to go with a forge welded billet with just the high carbon steel. Was there a thought process behind that?
Yeah, I make sanmai, more specifically Damascus sanmai, all the time. I'll fold some crap steel together to just to get some patterning, and then I'll cut it in half and I'll laminate it in a piece of good steel in the middle. So I still have my Damascus patterning, even though it's low carbon most of the time. I still have my Damascus patterning, but a good cutting edge. The problem with that is it's so hard to keep even any unevenness in that low carbon part, because low carbon doesn't harden and it shrinks. You'll get massive warpage. So I decided to go with just the I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you guys this or not, but they actually replaced the bands on that with 1095. So I went with just the 1095 because I knew that was good steel, and I knew if I went with only 1095 billet, that I wouldn't have to deal with the crazy warpage issues that I would have if it was a sanmai blade.
Gotcha. So you then quenched early, at least per what the judges said, and that was when they made a point to show you had hand cramps and you pulled out the banana. So you got to answer. The banana, I have to assume, was part of the craft services there, and they just kind of grabbed something off of there, or did you actually bring a banana with you?
No, I'm not just packing bananas around. But they have snacks on set. They have like chips, oranges, apples, bananas, those little oatmeal bars, things of that nature. They've got little stuff laying around. So when they notice, they said I went and got it, but I didn't. My hands were cramping up so bad that I actually had to force myself to let go of the blade to cool it. And one of the guys noticed, and he's like, "Hey, man, do you want a banana?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't think it's going to help in time, but sure, why not?" So he went ahead and brought that to me. But I was trying to sell the whole Spicy Mike thing because I think it's hilarious. So I took a little vial of Carolina Reaper sauce and did like a Coke line down this banana. And of course, slow motion of me like deep throating this thing. So.
But then you had this hot sauce. You carried that on you, right?
Yeah, I had Carolina Reaper sauce in little vials, and I had some powdered habanero, and then I had some powdered habanero seasoning. And I had a couple other things offset that I never brought in that I had the crew try.
Interesting. So from what I'm getting from this is when you talk to them about going on the show, there might have been some sort of backstory that you laid out for the spicy thing, or how did that even come about that you would bring spicy stuff with you to the show?
Well, I'm all about spice all the time, so regardless of whether or not I'm in the whole Spicy Mike thing, I would have brought it. But when one of the producers, his name's Dan, was emailing me, he was like, "So do you have any nicknames or anything like that?" So I was like, well, it just so happens that the local people call me Spicy Mike. And of course, he was like, "Oh, tell me all about that." So what happened was the local VFW Post, they were doing a wing night, and they wanted to do a super hot wing. Well, whoever they were going to have make the sauce for them kind of fell through, so they decided to make their own wing sauce. But I went there and tried it, And it was pretty hot, but it lacked a lot of taste. But they couldn't taste it because it was so hot. They couldn't actually see what it tasted like. So I went up there and we kind of collaborated, and I mixed up their sauce a little bit and got it tasting a little better. And when I texted the guy that was making the sauce, this was just something in my head just to kind of let him know who I was. I was like, hey man, this is Spicy Mike. This is my number. If you want me to come up there, let me know. And when I said that, I guess the Spicy Mike thing just stuck and it never went away.
Interesting. Very interesting.
That's a pretty good way to get a nickname out of it.
Yeah, that's nice. Do we need to go into this at all? It was a comment that we made more than anything else.
Nah, I think it's all right.
All right.
Moments passed.
Now I'm curious.
Oh, so in our recording, Teresa was sticking up for you when I was going off on my banana sriracha rant. And then she said, well, maybe you can use time travel to rectify the situation. And we were saying something about we didn't know when the episode was recorded versus when I put my thing on Instagram, and then Sean's like, that's pretty far-fetched.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about like magic or something.
Yeah, it was a little ridiculous. The whole thing was just a ridiculous thing on our end.
It was funny at the time. Now I don't remember how it even came about. So
I laughed at it when I watched it again today.
Oh, yeah, it's funny, but
Once we're recording, I'll go ahead and say this. You did it first, but I did it better.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll give you that because I did not use Carolina Reaper sauce on mine. I will give you that. So let's move on. Judging, you had some minor delaminations, but overall a good construction, and you were allowed to move on to round 2. Did you have anything to say there?
Well, I actually didn't have delaminations, but they didn't know that. What they were looking at was that where I had tacked my billet, and a little bit of that tack weld was still on there. So I didn't have any delaminations. What that was just some of that tack. But I could see why they would think that, because unless they knew exactly where I tacked it, it looked like a delamination.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
It seems that they tend to make these statements that aren't always true. Because I think one of the interviews we did, they were saying, oh, the judges said it was a delamination, but the guy was like, no, it wasn't. Like, there's another one where they claim something, but it's not how it is. But
they do have to make TV, so I understand where they're. But also, the David Baker made a comment once about like crystallizing the steel, which makes absolutely no sense to me. So I don't know if it's so much as maybe they're just throwing out things to try to make TV to make it good, or like maybe at the time they just don't know, they're just saying something because they need some commentary. So they're like, this, I guess. So I don't really know. I don't know for sure because they've got the producer talking in their ear the whole time and I can't hear what he's saying.
Right. Okay. Well, we're going to move on to round 2. And I think that calls for round 2 of our spice off here.
Oh.
So all I have is this same hot sauce, but I'm going to go for another swig because it was burning me pretty much that whole time. So what are you going to use for round 2?
I'll step my game. I'm not entirely sure what these peppers are. They kind of came up here, but it's kind of a standard chili. It's a little hotter than the thing I ate a second ago, a little bigger. So,
all right, cheers.
And he does this right when it's Sean's turn to ask a question. So
that's good. All right, so round 2, you guys had to put handles on, obviously, but you guys are required to use wood from the whiskey barrel.
Yep.
Was that a concern of yours at all? I know, and one thing I commented on the video was that Dave was like, well, it'd be a lot easier if they used the end of the barrel instead of the sides, but everyone used the sides and there's plenty of material for it. Did you have any concerns about using that type of wood for your handle?
To answer your questions in order, it's an oak barrel, and oak, even though it's not the best handle material, especially long term, because it likes to splinter and it's really porous, it's still a pretty sturdy wood. And your second question, as far as where he commented, you should use the top or bottom, there actually was no top on that barrel, I don't think. Like, I'm pretty sure they took the top off. So I guess I could have, flipped it over and beat the bottom out of it or something. But the oak barrels, they were pretty thick, so there was plenty of handle material there, the sides of it.
Right. Yeah. all the pieces looked thick. I was like, well, I don't know what Dave's really talking about, but ergo, more TV, commentary. And you said you weren't a big fan of through tangs, but you ended up making a through tang. So was that a plan of yours, or how did that come about?
It's really ironic because when I was kind of practicing before I went on the TV show. I was doing like the dirtiest forge welds I could think of because I didn't know what they were going to make us use, and I knew one of my weak points was hidden tang knives. So I'm like, okay, I really got to focus on this. So when I got there and they're like, okay, you have this really minute amount of steel, I was like, I've just been practicing this. I know exactly what to do with this small amount of steel. So that's why I drew out the stick tang.
Awesome.
It came out like, I don't really know how to do this thing, so I'm going to pick the competition to try it. But again, TV.
Yeah, so you commented on that. You're like, why would you do something that you don't do? It's like, well, we have a very limited amount of steel, and this is the way that I can make that work without having to deal with the warpage issues of San Mai. So that's my explanation to your question of why would I do that thin, because it really fit the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, or within this round, was when Will Willis said, Bladesmiths, you have 30 minutes to finish your bananas. And then all the judges, we all pulled out bananas. And you told them to put hot sauce on it. And Will Willis just has this, like, the whole thing's a joke. But then he's like, I'm going to kill the joke and be like, no, not putting hot sauce on it.
No, actually, I don't think any of them really liked spicy stuff. So, and they didn't show it quite as well, but I insisted pretty hard. I mean, I went back and forth with them for a couple minutes. I was like, come on, do it. And then they like just wouldn't do it. They got plenty of footage to work with them being like, no, thanks.
All right, so then you came up to the testing with a barrel chop where you had minor chipping and the guard had some sharp corners. And the sharpness was, really sharp with a bit more of a wedge. Comments on any of that? You're testing for round 2?
It was pretty spot on. I actually got to talk with the way later on, I got to talk with the judges that saw where the chip came out, and I asked them about the grain in the steel, and they were like, it was decent. It wasn't quite velvety, but it was pretty decent. So I was like, okay, that makes sense why it chipped when he hit it on steel. The sharp corners, I think they just needed something to nitpick because I took some 400 grit sandpaper and went around all of those corners. So they may have been, it may have seemed, because he had a glove on, it may have seemed like it would have been pointy, but I think if he would have been barehanded, he wouldn't have, he could have rubbed it on it all day and it wouldn't have cut his hand.
All right, cool.
What part did you just say? I'm sorry, I'm losing.
Wow, you're losing it. All right, so we're moving on to round 3.
Oh, geez.
Chris isn't holding up well over here.
I'm feeling it in my teeth right now. So, round 3. What are you doing for round 3?
Let's see. I'm going to leave it to you guys. I've got a whole bowl here. I've got a very small red Caribbean habanero. I've got a Thai ornamental chili. I've got an ignite pepper. It's just these little bitty guys. These are kind of weird. They have like an immediate heat. Like they hit you instantly and it makes you panic because you're like, oh, this is only going to get worse. And then it never gets worse. So it's just upfront heat, which is really cool to add to hot sauce because it's like, bam, but then it never gets worse.
I think you should do that one.
Yeah.
That one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, swig number 3 of my ghost pepper sauce.
E-dinks. Yep, right up front. Very bitter, kind of floral.
Fantastic. All right, so round 3, you have to make a Qinglong Ji. What were you thinking when you saw that thing revealed?
Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a long explanation. So, it sucks down the throat. But anyway, are you guys familiar with any of the names in the production crew?
We've heard some names.
Okay, do you know who Amanda is?
Yes.
We have heard of Amanda, yeah.
Amanda, as we were sitting outside, me and Jason, because after we figured out we made it to round 3, she's like, so what do you guys think about crossbows? And they actually asked us about that in the emails before we went, and I was like, I swear on my life, if it's a crossbow, I'm walking out of here. She's like, no, it'll be fine. Like I'm sure you can make one. I'm like, yeah, I probably could, but I'm not gonna. Like if it's a crossbow, I'm literally saying Jason wins and walking off set. She had me so sold that it was we're actually gonna get the crossbow. I was like angry. I was actually super mad because I didn't know how to make a crossbow. So like when we went in there and I saw that the velvety thing was like long and skinny, I was like, I don't even care what's underneath that thing. It's not a crossbow.
Nice.
So when they unveiled that thing, I was just like the happiest person on the planet.
Cool.
All right, so day one, you made the main shaft using a press. You skip day two. Day three, your blade broke while testing.
Yep.
And your press blew a hose. So
Actually, true. That's what they caught me saying, because that's what I thought happened in the moment. So what actually happened was you have your hydraulic cylinder, right? And the fluid pushes the plunger up and down, which moves your. So that was only supported by 2 prongs on the side of it that was welded on. So all 26 or whatever tons of pressure was being held by 2 little welded on prongs, and one of those actually broke off. So that it was irreparable. If it was just a hose that blew, I could have went down the road and had a new hose made in like an hour.
Right.
But that's actually what happened. But because I said that in the moment, that's obviously what they put in film.
Okay. So your blade broke.
Yep.
We've seen it happen on the show before. Midway through the home forging process. Was that something you might have been ready for, or not so surprised of?
The answer to both of those is yes. So I was definitely not ready for that to happen because I actually tested out some of these theories the day before we started filming. I was like, okay, I want to try wrapping this thing around in forge welding. Okay, that works. I want to try inserting something into a slot in forge welding. Okay, that works. So I was pretty sure it was going to work, but then some of the forge welds in one of the inserts didn't take, and it just cracked, and I was like, what am I going to do? It's crazy. So, but also, I mean, I hate to say that I hoped that particular one would fail just because of the way it turned out. I was like, I feel like I could do better now. So when it did fail, I was a little upset, but I was also like, okay, this is a chance to take what I've learned and build on it.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How you doing there?
I'm doing okay. So on day 5, they showed you making the butt cap from the broken pieces of the first sword.
Yep.
And that was really all they talked about for your stuff. So they skipped days 2 and 4, and we know that you have a number of hours to forge this thing out. Was there any other issues that happened during those days that they didn't show?
That's definitely true. So they showed day 4 because that's when I was drawing out the serpent on the blank of 5160 that they gave you. I hate 5160. I just want to go on record saying that. Junk. Everyone should throw it in the trash can and use ADCRV2. But yeah, so I had the piece of 5160 they gave me, and I basically stock removed everything except the way it worked out. I actually had to angle the tip of the Qinglong Ji about like that just to get it to lengthwise fit, and I was trying to forge that straight, and that was working pretty hard against me. And also my crescent, because of the steel billet was only so wide, when I cut it out, it didn't meet the minimum distance requirements that the crescent had to be from the shaft. So I actually had to forge that out. So between trying to keep the tip straight and forge that out, that was actually a big problem. And then I also had to forge weld on pieces of 1095 for the socket. So when I forge welded those two on, I was trying to get them pushed together so I could tack them and tack weld them together. And that just wasn't happening. And I dropped that billet like 1,000 times. But anyway, so okay. It was extremely difficult. It fought me the entire time. So that's what, when I said on day 5, I was like, my goal for today is just nothing going wrong or less things. That didn't really resonate with the audience like I really meant it. Because, I mean, those first 4 days were nothing but things going wrong or like screwing up. It was really, really, really hard.
Okay. Well, it's good to hear some of that stuff. Not that it was good that you had some tough stuff through those first 4 days, but it is illuminating for us to be able to find out what's being skipped over when it comes to that sort of thing.
They're also taking
like 5 minutes to fit all this into. They got to cut stuff out somewhere.
Yeah. All right. We come to one of the other points of contention. What's the story of the peppers and the bananas on your bench in your shop when they're showing your shop? The huge, huge pile of peppers.
the cornucopia.
Well, for starters, that wasn't actually my shop. That was my buddy Tom's shop. He let me borrow it to make my final weapon. That is in the rules. You are allowed to do that. But I don't think they actually advertise it because they don't want people, like say some random nobody who really doesn't have a lot of experience kind of makes it to the final round. Because there are episodes like that. There are episodes where even if they're not a good bladesmith, they get matched up with other bad bladesmiths, so they end up winning. But like say that a really, really not good bladesmith makes it to the last round, they don't want them trying to call up a master smith like, hey man, do you think I could possibly use your shop? Things like that. So they really try to keep that under wraps. So that was Tom's shop. And what was the other part of your question?
What's the deal with the bananas and the peppers? Like, did you already have those?
Actually, yes, I already had those because, as you saw in the Cutting Deeper version of the episode, or I don't know if you guys watched that. Did you watch that?
No, we didn't catch that one.
Oh, you missed out, man. So here's the thing. Because I thought Will did such a great job of making the banana and hot sauce thing absolutely hilarious, I actually went out. Or actually, the crew that was filming with me, they went out and bought the stuff. They got me bananas, habaneros, honey, and apple cider vinegar. And I went and bought a blender. And I filmed this little, like, Rachel Ray style segment of me making a banana-based hot sauce to give to Will. Like, that was kind of my little thank you to him for that. And they didn't know if it was going to make the cut or not. So on the final day when I was doing my interviews, they're like, okay, well, this may or may not make it in, so let's at least put this stuff in the background. If it doesn't make it in, you still can say, there it is.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
That's some good fun facts there.
Yeah. I've been getting into making hot sauce myself, so it makes sense. Everything you just said makes sense.
All right, so and when you went back, we had the kill test with the ballistics dummy. It was wide enough to break a bone, light and fast, and it will kill, which is great. The strength test broke a spear, then a slab and a barrel, and it was still sharp and overall less damage to the weapon, and the sharpness cut the rope in the banner. It will cut. So your weapon was great. And you won. Yay. How was that? I mean, I'm sure you're just like super happy.
Well, for starters, since we're jumping to another segment, I think that means another round of hot stuff, right?
Oh, that's right.
All right, let's go. Got the cap off.
Now, this one actually might be hard because this is a Red Caribbean habanero.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this one might take me a second. Ready?
Cheers.
All right. Is this going to take you to reset night?
Yes. Yes, it is. Thank you, boys. I always have to deal with this guy and his hot sauce.
I don't usually drink this much hot sauce.
That's also true.
You also don't usually drink hot sauce.
Yeah, that's true. Generally, I don't.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
More like
All right, Warm. All right, what was your question?
we didn't really have one.
We didn't really have one. We just kind of ran through your testing
comment.
and everything was good.
What did you do with your winnings? I want to know that.
I'm going to back up to what you said a second ago.
Sure.
And then I'll get that. But as far as the testing, that's warm. So when I got in the van with Jason to go do the final testing, he's like, so how'd you do? And I was like, honestly, congrats, man. Like, I threw this thing together in 2 days. There's no way, like, because I looked up Jason's stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen Jason's stuff. He's an absolutely outstanding knife maker. He's way better than I'll ever be. What we're competing on is a game show that has nothing to do with translating to real life knife making skills. It's all about, can you turn this into a knife? So he is 1,000 times better than I am at knife making, and I want everybody to know that. But when I got in the van, I was like, dude, congrats. There's absolutely no way that you didn't win, because I thought I brought a piece of crap. And I did, in all honesty. I brought a thing made out of 5160, which I hate, with 1095 forged wood on for a socket. I did the cord wrap literally to hide flaws. I was like, this thing is just garbage. Like, there's no way that I'm going to win. And as Jason noted in his unboxing video, he did an unboxing video when he got his Qinglong Ji back. He was like, that ever so slight bend that his took, he was like, this is what a $10,000 bend looks like. And if it was not for that bend, and maybe if he would have indexed his shaft a little better, like his was balanced better, his was lighter. I know they said my blade was light. Apparently Doug's smoking crack or something, because that thing was really heavy. That thing was super heavy. Like, at the end when I won, it was awesome and it was great, and I really felt like I proved myself, which is really the only thing I wanted to go in the first place. But even though I won, I'm still an inferior knife maker to Jason, and I have no problem admitting that. So it was nice to win the show that I've always wanted to be on. And as far as what I did with the money, literally all I've done so far is I have paid off a bunch of debt, got my car fixed, paid off not copay. What do you call it on a car? Like if you wreck it and then you have to pay part of it.
Oh,
the
deductible.
Cool. I went ahead and paid the deductible off, where I got my other car fixed, and then I made part of a down payment on a house on a lake.
So
Nice.
grown-up things. Cool.
Like literally play. I think I ordered like a pizza and bought a couple of cases of beer.
Nice.
All right, so we got a couple more questions here for you, separate from the episode.
Chris isn't going to make it.
I'll be fine. What's your favorite steel to use?
Oh, that's a toughie. So I make a lot of kitchen knives, and my favorite kitchen knife steel is 1095, because I like differentially hardened blades, and I like the Hammond, however the hell you pronounce that. So like, I like to differentially hardened blades because I think it looks cool. I think I've never used 52-100, but I think it's probably a superior kitchen knife steel. I've got some AEBL. That's pretty cool. I can talk about it now. I've been on Knife for Death. It hasn't aired yet, but the blade I took to Knife for Death was made out of 80 CRV2, and I really, really, really like 80 CRV2. It's pretty cool if you have a user's blade. And that's kind of the extent of my experience, I guess.
Cool. Do you have a preference for handle material?
Not wood. As most of my friends will tell you, I absolutely hate wood. It's boring. It was like, it's so natural and pretty. Like, sure, I guess. I like Curanite. I really like acrylics, especially for my kitchen knives, because it doesn't soak stuff in.
Right.
It looks shiny and nice. So I can't get into wood or bone and antler. I hate both of those.
Okay.
What is your favorite non-blade item to make?
Hot sauce.
I feel like we're setting him up for that one.
Still.
Yeah. Coal versus propane.
I've never used coal, but I've used charcoal. A lot of people actually prefer coal because I guess it gets hot really fast. But I'm kind of lazy, and I'll be super honest about that. So the fact that I can just light my propane forge and never have to keep it hot or anything, it's just always. I just love the simplicity of propane.
And you don't have to really worry about it burning the steel if you just leave it unattended so much,
See, a lot of people talk about burning the steel, and I don't really understand that. I think what they're talking about is where you get it to a point where it's almost melting, and it grows the crap out of the grain and makes it brittle. But that's really, to me, you'd have to ask Josh Fishkisser, whatever the hell his name is. For me, it's almost the same as liquefying a steel and melting it down. And usually when you do a crucible, it's a little brittle at first, but after you work a little bit, it's all right. So to me, it's kind of in the same boat as that. So I don't think you're really burning it. I think you're just kind of making it brittle due to the heat.
Or it takes a carbon out or something like that. I know with like low carbon steels, if you're blacksmithing and you leave it in, it's gone. Like it'll just chip away, and it's almost turns into coal. Like it just breaks apart.
Yeah, any steel will do that when it oxidizes in the forge. That's your scale and stuff that flakes off, which is what flux does. It kind of eats that, so that way when you forge weld your pieces of steel together, it liquefies and it'll eat that scale, which prevents it from forge welding. So when you smash it together, it ejects that liquid flux, and then you only have clean steel to weld together.
Stainless or no stainless?
I'm indifferent. There is good stainless. I actually really don't like people that are like, oh man, stainless is bad. You can't use stainless. But there's a lot of good stainless out there. You just have to pick it for what you're doing. Like I think AEBL is a really good stainless. It kind of has all of the stainless properties of 440C, but I think it's better in almost every aspect.
Okay.
What's your favorite Damascus pattern?
Oh man, I'm not really into the mosaics. I know like Mareko Mamasi, he does amazing mosaics, and I love his work. But as far as like, is it worth the price? Probably to some people. But as far as if I'm doing Damascus, I like the simplicity of just plain layers. And then, you grind it out and you get your taper, and the layers actually show where the taper goes. So that's why I appreciate more of a plain Damascus, because as you're like, you can really see the details in your grind. It really shows the details in your grind because it'll follow that.
Cool.
All right. Well, that's all the questions that we have. I think we're good. So, hey, this was fun.
This was hot, spicy.
I'm on a new level here. I feel like my skin's a little tingly, and
He's about to suggest another round.
you want to do one more round to end it here? All right. Cheers.
The bigger go to bed because you're already home.
We have 2 more episodes to record after this.
Yeah.
Oh, no way. Really?
We're doing 2 more wrap-ups.
2 more wrap-ups. No interviews today after you, but...
We need Jason on here.
Oh, I've talked to him. We're going to get him on soon. We have some plans for some other stuff, but we're still working through... We got like 10 more interviews to come from our grudge match trip to put out. And
We're behind. We didn't watch this most recent episode, and we want to do Knife or Death.
yeah, we're going to start doing Knife or Death wrap-ups, so...
Well, I'm going to be on that pretty soon, so...
We'll give you a call when we're ready to do a wrap-up for that one. All right.
Does he win?
We did it. We
All right.
both tied it here.
Right, but
this
he's
is
not-
hot stuff.
I don't think you could go pepper for pepper with Spicy Mike.
Hang on, I'll keep going. Here's another one. You want to know? Like, here we
He
are.
doesn't. I don't want him to.
No, we're wrapping it up. We both attained our goals here. Let's call it a night. So, Mike, thank you for joining us, and congratulations on your win, and we look forward to seeing you on Knife or Death. Remember to follow him at 7th Dragon Knife Works on Instagram. Is there any other social media that you use for people to contact you? Or
Actually, I'm not super active on Instagram, so I use Facebook for almost every aspect of communication. So if they want to look me up, Michael Kerley, it literally has parentheses and says Spicy Mike on it. If you want to hit me up at that, or facebook.com/7th Dragon Knife Works. That's the best way to get a hold of me, or to see my stuff, or just to talk to me in general.
all right, cool. You heard him. Facebook is where to find him. Thanks again, Mike, and I guess that's it.
Yeah.
All right, bye-bye.
So,
40 minutes earlier.
eating some spicy stuff.
Oh,
man.
Jeez.
Look out.
I didn't come prepared, man. I was traveling all week. I just got back a few days ago. So
What?
we don't have to worry about the spicy stuff for today.
Well, maybe I will. You can just be lame.
Oh,
I'm with you there, man. Chris talked a big game,
damn.
Shots fired.
and he came with nothing today.
Oh, damn. All right. I see how it is. Fine.
Where are you going? What are you
Hang
getting?
on. There we go.
He's got hot sauce. Maybe that's what he's getting.
Yes.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, he needs to do something. You can't. You
I'm
can't.
the one that has to put up with his antics when he does this hot sauce nonsense.
Well, he talked a big talk. He's got to
Yeah.
back it up. For the interview
Yeah.
with Spicy Mike. You can't drop the ball with that.
Yeah, he also said that I copied him with the whole spicy banana.
That's right.
Yes, he did. Sriracha banana.
No, it wasn't sriracha. That was my homemade Reaper sauce.
Oh. He's back.
Well, do you have food to put that on, or are you just gonna go?
He's going to.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
It's going hardcore with the sauce.
I got.
Yeah.
It may not be Carolina Reaper, but it is. I believe it is Ghost Chilies. Yes, it is. So,
All right.
So it's still pretty good.
All right. Well, let's see. I'm not going to eat a ghost pepper because you would get no interview.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry about that. But it's a little tampered down with this sauce. So
Should we save the heat towards the end of the interview?
Well, I'll eat something up front, but because I've got some pretty mild hot peppers right here.
Mild
Okay.
hot peppers.
I'll do one dab of this right when we start, and then we'll see how it goes from there.